think we could, like David Lee said, that he still really appreciates like the input. So I think if there was someone that you could put in a recommendation, I would think. But I mean, I don't know if that's formal or just letting him know. We're just telling people to apply in recommendation.
I broke it already.
Pardon me?
I broke it.
You broke it already?
I have a black screen. How do I get it to you?
Oh, it's that.
1, 2, 3,
She's
4.
looking for that side button right there. It's on this side. Does it go on?
Press home to open.
Do it.
It's waiting.
And it's. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Then I'm supposed to hit home, right?
There's an agenda up in the corner.
This little guy right there, that little icon up there.
iPod?
No, there should have been. There was a little thing that said agenda.
No. Press home to open.
Huh. It didn't come up saying agenda up
See,
there.
I told you.
And we
You got the magic touch.
What's wrong with the little thing? I don't know how to work it. It's just a black screen. No. Oh, up here? Right there.
Good. I can return it. I don't need it, right?
Okay, Lee. Here, I got this one to come up.
Don't worry. I have my paper.
This one's opening. It's just being
We
really.
could try this one. Maybe it's. I don't know if Rich is going to be here tonight or not.
I didn't hear.
All this is for is the agenda, right?
Well, your whole packet's on
Whole packet's in here.
What, my
You
whole
printed
packet's
out
here, too.
yours?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're
How are
okay.
you doing?
Pretend like you're using
Tired.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
Oh.
Think all day
Okay.
today.
I'll hide it.
Really?
I'll hide it.
All right.
That's nice.
Let's try this one and see.
Out there in Golden Valley.
And get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just about
Have
break
a lot
that
of
one,
food
too.
to break down and
Yeah.
get over
Well, it's past the 5:30, so
And
Oh, I'm
is it?
sorry.
are we going to wait for anybody or?
until about
Okay.
3 o'clock
then,
or so.
Oh.
Didn't even get to
will
have
four
a
of us be
nap.
a quorum?
Oh,
Okay. We'll bring the June meeting of the Kane City Commission to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Okay. Sorry. C. Russell.
Here.
Richard Wing is absent. Kathy Bowman.
Present.
Jordan Cummins is excused. Sarah Ferry.
Here.
Wayne Hollins.
Here.
Marianne Van Hassel is also excused. And we have a quorum.
Okay. We'll stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everybody had a chance to review the May minutes?
Yes.
Are there any
Corrections?
Corrections or omissions?
Yes.
Okay.
It has listed that Richard Anderson is the mayor.
I missed that completely.
Excuse me.
Other than that, since I wasn't present, do I have to abstain
Pardon me?
from voting on approval? I wasn't present, so I guess I have to abstain for the minutes, right?
That's not.
I don't know if that's necessary or not. You read the minutes.
I did.
Yeah. So I
I
think you
can't see
can.
whether or not there's any
You
corrections.
can make a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve with the correction that I stated,
Okay.
that they be approved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of public comments. Those wishing to address the Clean City Commission need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for discussion at a later time. Does anybody want to address the comments? Okay. Public comments closed. Reports. Do I have Chuck Gibson Community Challenge Awards? Wasn't that?
Yeah, I think maybe you have the wrong month.
I think this is definitely the wrong month. This is May 17th. So let me. Clean City Commission. Oh, hit that one. I just saw Clean City Commission and hit it. Didn't realize.
Just touch it.
There we go. All right, that's better. Old business, curbside recycling pilot program. Continue discussion regarding curbside recycling program, pilot program.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I apologize for not having this included in your packet, but Eddie and I were working on this up through today. So this is a update of the presentation that we gave to council. A lot of the changes are based upon the input that we got from you. Again, we're still looking for any. So if there's any clarifications, things you think, if there's information not in here that you think should be, if there's redundant information in here, if there's something that we totally missed on, please let us know, because that's why we're here. So I'll start. So the object of this report is to share the results of the pilot program and present our objectives and recommendations moving forward. So again, to summarize, the curbside recycling pilot program encompasses about 550 homes in the Wallach Ranch and Legacy neighborhoods. It is single stream collection, which requires no sorting on the part of the customer, and we utilize the same type of can we use for refuse, with the difference being that it has a blue lid on it to distinguish it. This is some of the outreach we did at the time the program started and throughout the duration of the program, which is still ongoing. We did go door to door on 2 or 3 occasions. We sent out mailers. We have information in our website. We place signage at the entrance to the subdivisions, and we have utilized social media, most notably our Facebook page, for information on the program. These were the criteria that we were evaluating. It was the participation rate, the amount of contamination, how much diversion we were getting from the landfill, cost, and that's the cost of collection, sorting, and the proper disposal of the materials, and market volatility, which we've talked about several times. please feel free to jump in along the way. So this is what's collected under the pilot program and what's collected under the drop program. The drop program actually allows more things to be collected. So these are the averages just for the pilot totals, and this is from November through May. You can see that we average about 44% participation, 20% contamination, with about a 20% diversion to the landfill. And this is kind of one of the side-by-side comparisons that you had suggested previously. So this is tonnage collected by both the pilot program and in our drop program per month. So you can see it's generally around 6 tons up to 8 tons in the pilot program, and we've been up to over 100 tons a month in the drop program.
Excuse me, one question. On the slide before this one, that pilot average totals, cans out, that means there were 550 homes. It wasn't even 50% that participated in it. Is that correct?
Yes, and I guess that figure doesn't concern me too much, because I think if I had a 90-gallon can, it might take me a while to come up with 90 gallons of recyclables.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So I think there are a lot of people who utilize it, but don't utilize it every week. That makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
No, that's fine.
Is that also reflected in the participation? Would you say that's the same, like, that 44%, is that based on the cans out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actually counting cans when they pick up. So again, this was the tonnage collected by the pilot program per month and the tonnage collected in the drop program per month. So this is cost, and this is how much it cost us to, an example, the pilot program, run a vehicle to pick those up, that driver's labor, bring that back, drop it in the labor that we pay for to sort, which again is inmate labor, so that's at a 50 cents an hour rate. And then the cost to transport and to pay the tipping fees. Any proceeds we receive, and I asked Dad to jump in a little bit on this one, if we're getting money for any commodities, then that's taken out of this figure, so that this is a net figure of cost. So I don't know, Ed, if you could tell us what all commodities we do get money for.
Basically right now we're still getting paid for glass. We're going to transport that to Vegas. We get paid for aluminum, tin, steel, and that's pretty much it. Paper, cost keeps going up with Bulldog. Like I mentioned in the previous, used to get $60 a ton. The month of May, he's charging us $50 a ton. So, and then we've been blessed with Republic, even though we still get to haul that all the way to Las Vegas, but they're only charging us for $25 a ton, because what we send to them is pretty clean. So that's whatever we can
Still,
get.
that's a net figure.
Yeah, those.
Wow.
But you're actually seeing, the minuses and the pluses are already included in that.
Thank you.
Excellent. So this is, again, you're giving us a suggestion to try to show these as much as we could side by side for a better comparison. So this shows tonnage per pilot program, the cost, tonnage per drop program, cost per month. So it comes out to average about a little bit over $3,000 to process 6.6 tons of recyclables through the pilot program. It costs us $20,000 to process recyclables through the drop program. So the price per 1 ton in the drop program averages out at $463.71 per ton, and the cost in the drop program is $221.55. Again, the difference is the extensive sorting that we have to do with the pilot program.
Got it.
How much does it cost us, and what's the quantity of cardboard that we can transport at one time? How we do that, as opposed to how it would be if it was baled?
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but generally cardboard and mixed paper goes from the drop location directly to bulldog disposal. So we're not sorting that at all. We're picking it up in the truck and taking it from the drop locations directly to
And that's what we're paying, $50 a ton for them to.
Yeah.
It's costing, yeah.
And I'm not saying there's no contamination in the drop program. I think it's a lot less. So again, here's a summary of the cost. And, we're trying to show this without getting buried in the details, because this generated a lot of questions in the first presentation that we gave you. So we're trying to summarize this some, and if we did it too much or anything, let us know if there's any more detail that you need here. So the trip to landfill is 30-mile round trip, takes about an hour and a half. Labor and equipment rate is $135. The tipping fee is $35.50 a ton. The trip to Republic's facility in Las Vegas is 228-mile round trip. It's a 5-hour window. The labor and equipment is $581. The tipping fee is going to range, depending on the commodity, anywhere from $25 to $50 a ton. You had asked some questions about the landfill. We've talked to Cullen Patillo out at the county. And the county owns the landfill. Gamby Disposal operates it. They estimate that their current cell has about a year left. That they have a new cell coming online that'll be ready in about a year. It'll have a life expectancy of 30 years. There's over 100 acres to continue to build more cells in the future. So it's like a lot of Western communities, landfill space isn't the driving force that kind of can be back east, where it's more dense development. There's just a lot more people living per square mile back east, and so a lot of times that's like a critical factor is landfill space, and that's why you'll see big cities barging their trash, down the Atlantic coast to find a place to take it. We don't really have that same issue here. We've got other issues, but landfill space isn't really one of them. County participation. I did approach the Development Services Director for Mojave County, and I told him we were having a discussion on the recycling program. And I told him that if probably eventually at some point, we'd make a formal request for county participation in funding our recycling program. We know that county residents utilize the drop program. They have no way to quantify what that percentage is. I would guess it's fairly high. So they're on notice that we might be coming asking for money. I don't know what their response would be. We've asked for participation from the county before on our cart bus system, and we're told that that was not possible. So I gave them fair notice.
Good luck.
So I don't know where this fits into the discussion, but I think it's an important part of it. And I don't know if it belongs at the beginning, and I'm open for any input on that. But I guess, I kind of need to stress that sanitation's an enterprise fund. it doesn't spend sales tax dollars. Every dollar that sanitation spends comes from the rates that ratepayers pay. So sanitation, water, and wastewater are all enterprise funds. They can't use general funds. They can't use sales tax revenue. So it's not just a matter of a decision being made that, we're going to do it and we'll subsidize it. But by law, we can't. Whatever we spend in sanitation division has to be derived from the rates that our users pay. So, if council wanted to be benevolent and say, well, it's just the right thing to do, we're going to do it, we can't fund it with sales tax money. It would have to be funded through rates and likely a pretty significant, well, I shouldn't say that. I'd say likely a rate increase. So, and this is really one of, if you pay attention to council meetings, you hear them talking about the home rule option. That'll be on the ballot. It is every year. That's critical to us. I don't know that a lot of people understand it, but what that does is allows us to exempt the spending for the water, wastewater, and sanitation divisions from the state-imposed spending limitation on the city.
Rob, I'm sorry. Could you repeat what you just said?
Sure. So the home rule option allows us to exempt the spending from the water department, wastewater department, and sanitation from the city's expenditure limitation. The state of Arizona sets an expenditure limitation for cities saying, you can't spend more than this. If we were not able to exempt those three enterprise funds from that spending limitation, we'd be selling all three functions tomorrow.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I understand what you're saying.
So, it's probably one of the things people vote on that they understand the least about. But it really is critical to our operation, because if we had to count in what those divisions spent on top of the general fund dollars that are spent, we would never meet that state-imposed limitation.
Okay.
That's just a little side note, but it is relevant to the discussion. So, and not strictly because of recycling, but it's a factor. The sanitation fund is not in good shape now. We've had to defer truck purchases, I want to say like 3 out of the last 6 years, where we have not been able to purchase trucks. Trucks run anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000, and the fund has not been healthy enough to allow that major expense. We got a slide coming up that shows the sanitation fund balance. And it's also the city's policy to maintain a 25% cushion in that fund balance, which is basically your rainy day fund. If some strange thing happened and we weren't allowed to collect revenues, or if we weren't getting paid our rates, we'd be able to operate for a 90-day window based upon what we have saved. So with all that in mind, we budgeted for a revenue and rate study for next year. And our next year will be starting next month. So we're looking at consultants right now come in and do this rate study for us. And it's a pretty involved process. We just currently are wrapping up one for the water fund. But basically they look at all of your operating expenses. They look at any efficiencies that can be gained with the way that you operate the system. They look at new programs that you're interested in, which would include these. And they tell you, based upon how much it costs you to do business today, plus what you want to do in the future, or what you're going to need to do in the future, this is what your rate should be. So that'll be starting up probably this fall. So one thing we will ask them to look at in that rate study would be a continuation of the drop program or the institution of a citywide curbside program.
I got a question or comment, whatever. Okay, so we're basically spending a deficit of $20,000 a month to have the recycling and disposing of it how we're currently doing it. So on the rate study, did we take into consideration if we had the equipment to properly package it and sell it, or we're getting paid for it, even though I was just reading the cardboard and stuff that's dropped another $10 a ton, so that would make it down about $65 a ton if you was packaging it up and being able to sell it by the truckload.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think the return or the expense / return that we would get on any commodities could be improved if we handled them differently. But that needs to be balanced with that upfront expense of being able to handle them differently. So, yeah, we all know, I guess we all think, if we had our own MRF, we'd be doing a lot better as far as either what we had to pay to get rid of things or what we might be getting for commodities. But that's a major expense up front that would have to be factored in to that rate study again. So yeah, I mean, the goal is that, yeah, they will look at all of that. Because sometimes you got to spend money to save money.
Yeah, and to me, it's like we're kind of spinning our wheels here, because we don't process it to get the maximum amount that we can for it, which now is quite low, even at that. Mm-hmm. But we didn't take advantage of it because we didn't have the equipment to get the maximum return for when it was high. We didn't get that $175 a ton. We were getting whatever we were getting then. So now that we don't have the equipment to process it, now we're paying more, even, and they can sell it even for it less. But if we're paying them $50 and they're getting $60 for it, then that's a $110 difference.
And I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's a catch-22 up front too, because we do it the way we do it because it's the way we can afford to do it. We weren't able to add labor. We weren't able to add a lot of that expensive equipment. We were trying to do the best with what we had, and this is kind of where we ended up. If that makes sense.
Will they be looking at? I saw how you had the note here that it's been well over 10 years since the rates have been raised, and that was actually my question before I read this, because to cover the cost of inflation. So, and I know that that's the most unpopular thing to tell anybody that pay tax we're gonna raise your rates, but I mean, otherwise this is going to go bankrupt. So is this something that this company that's going to come in and do this study, will they come back and tell you that if you want, possibly if you want this to be a healthy program, we advise you to raise your rates? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we'll get a whole series of recommendations and say, okay, just to carry on with solid waste, excluding all recycling, this is what you need to charge. Here's what it would be with continuing the drop program. Here's what it would be with curbside citywide. I'm hoping it's going to be a whole series of endpoints, I guess, because I think it needs to be. I think we need that information to make the decision. Do you need that information? Council needs that information. So, yeah, I mean, we're kind of stuck, and I don't know if there'd be a better way to do it, but people pay all these bills on their water bill. They pay their water bill. They pay their sewer bill if they're on sewer. and they pay their sanitation bill. So, I think there's good probability that water rates are going up. There's a good probability that wastewater rates are staying where they are, which is high because we're still paying $50 million for 2 relatively new treatment plants. So, yeah, I understand the frustration.
Does it have to be on one bill? Like maybe it would be less.
I guess there's probably
Maybe you guys would be such bad guys if it was just on a bill on its own.
I guess there's some efficiency. We'd probably be duplicating costs by sending out different bills.
Yeah, you're right. So that sounds like it's a really wise thing to do, to really know and have that.
Yeah, and it's probably too late coming. It's probably something we should have anticipated earlier. But I think for us, there was pressure when the wastewater rates had to be so dramatically increased. We weren't in a hurry to raise any other rates, and so we were just trying to find the efficiencies and work with what we had. And sometimes that's going to catch up with you eventually.
I do think this enterprise fund should be the first thing in the presentation.
Okay.
So people can understand.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think
that you can only work with what people pay to have the services done.
Yeah, we
I
went
agree,
back
that
and
would be
forth on
good.
that.
Your explanation on the home roll was good.
So here's the sanitation fund balance over the last about 9 years. And you can see it's pretty much steadily declined. There was a bump in 16. I'm not exactly sure what that's attributable to. Maybe that was some growth, new accounts. I don't
I
know.
would have to guess that'd be the year that we didn't get any trucks.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, you don't have to be an accountant. It doesn't look good, But, so, and this was some of the original material about the market, the recyclables. I don't think any of this has changed substantially since the original report. I guess we can check and see if any of those tipping fees have changed significantly since we did the original report, but I don't think so. So, and there's been a few recent developments overseas. China stopped accepting all scrap metal. In Vietnam has imposed restrictions similar to China.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
I'm going to figure out how this thing works yet.
So this just addresses, I guess, national averages for tipping fees per ton of mixed paper. And you can see it's kind of fallen off the shelf. I don't know. Like I say, we're open for input. If you think any of these slides are redundant or not clear or misleading, please let us know. But you can see that the average price paid to recyclers in the Northwest, including British Columbia, has plummeted from $97.50 to $5 a ton. And this again talks about the Northwest, which areas hit very hard by this. But it pretty much affects the whole West Coast and Inland Empire area. But, this is a quote from Republic Services Vice President for Recycling and Sustainability. He just says they have not been able to move the material on a daily basis. So this is some of the input we got from the commission prior to, the making the reduce, reuse, and recycle, kind of the emphasis, and maybe trying to deal with some of these issues on the front end of, do you really need that in the first place? Or do you need to buy it in that packaging or whatever it may be? And I think this is something maybe through Public Works Facebook page and Plain City Commission Facebook page, maybe this is something we can try to make a point of emphasis. It might not pay off for 20 years until these kids in school grow up, I don't know, but I think it's good. So it's a good message. So our staff recommendations were to conclude the pilot program. Ed and I still haven't had a chance to meet with the new city manager and kind of lay out our timeline. At some point I need to take this back to council for a presentation, hopefully with a recommendation from this commission on how to proceed. I won't ask you for that tonight. But we will in the future. We'll take it back to council because we really would like to conclude the pilot program. We'd like to continue the drop program and be able to put all of our energies there. I think the numbers are pretty clear that our bang for the buck in the drop program is much better than in the pilot program. What we're paying twice as much to handle the same amount of recyclables in the pilot program as we are through the drop program. We'd like to continue that. We'd like to talk to the consultant that's doing the rate study about how we go about continuing that program.
Can I make a quick, before we get too far, on the new way of thinking, just a little typo. It said, when in doubt, threw it out instead of throw it out.
Oh, okay.
Just put that there.
We put some of those in
Maybe
there.
when I'm doing a presentation and I see something like, oh, shoot, I spelled that wrong.
Well, we put some of those in there on purpose just to make sure you guys are reading.
If you read
Yeah, see?
We're always testing them.
And then I have a little recommendation, and maybe it's just kind of better for public understanding. I think that maybe you could make it clear that concluding the pilot program, the point of the pilot program was to collect data, and you feel that you've collected the data that you could from this pilot program. It doesn't mean that, when maybe recycling is in a better place or that we couldn't decide to pick it up again, but the pilot program was supposed to be a pilot program. And at this point, it's probably best to, conclude it. And I think it makes sense not to move forward, jump full on city right now. More data needs to be collected, you're waiting for the results of this study. I think there could be a way that you frame it where it's not making people think it's never a possibility.
No, and that's good input. I mean, I think we said that at the council meeting, but I think it'd be good to have in here somewhere because I think, and I think it was kind of unfortunate the way, because we were directed to initiate it by the council. And that's really why we didn't come through the commission the first time when we started it up, because it was a council direction during budget last year. So when we wanted to, and we didn't set a hard date when we started, which was a mistake on my part, and when we went back to them, it was like we were putting them in the position of voting against recycling. Well, who wants to be the first one to make that motion? Well, maybe some people would. I think there's a couple of people that live in that neighborhood that probably would, but not most people don't want to be put in that position. So, a lot of this was self-inflicted by me. So, I appreciate the help trying to clean up my mess.
When this landfill is finished, do they know where the new landfill is going to be?
No, I think
cell?
Pardon me?
The new cell they're going to start in a year?
I'm sorry, Eddie.
They've got a new cell that they'll be starting up next year.
Is your question where the new cell?
Yeah, when this landfill is finished.
It's going to be in between the two. There's two here. They're going to set it right in the middle.
Okay. So it'll still be basically the same distance that they're going to be transporting. Yeah, okay. I didn't know if it'd be a long distance and that'd be adding more money to our transporting fees and whatnot. So, is there a sort of a ballpark figure as to what it would cost to get a MERS kind of a situation here?
Well, I think when Eddie's looked into it before, I want to say it was around $6 million or something for sure.
Depends on the size and, so we're hoping maybe with new study they're going to do some ideas, but I know when we went to King Creek, they had spent $16 million, if I remember right, but they had a big, long operation.
And they're servicing a large chunk of the valley down there.
Wow.
But yeah, the one in Glendale, I think, was probably more than that. I think that was close to a $10 million facility. I mean, you'd have to figure out how big you want it to go. I mean, you want to account for growth, but you don't want to overkill either.
Determine whether you have a single stream or a lot of places are going double stream, two stream on it to get away from that, because all that scanning and blowing and stuff equipment is quite expensive, so it depends on how you're going to process it, how much it's going to cost you, but it doesn't matter which way you go, any of the equipment's expensive, so just you may have less of it if you don't do the single stream thing, because you won't have much mixture in there that's got to be separated out. If you got double stream, then it's kind of sorted before you get it already. Then you just got to worry about the contaminants, so that make a big difference.
You got to worry about your trucks, splitting it in the truck.
Is it a possibility to, and I know that this study will probably show this, but to make our drop program more accessible, like maybe to show the community that we aren't giving up on recycling, but maybe focus more on recycling, like maybe in big city area, like what if there was recycling, some type of movable recycling bin that you could put at big events when there's going to be lots of water bottles and stuff. Or, I don't know if that's a possibility, but I'm thinking about this First Friday and people were talking about water bottles, and I'm like, here we are talking about how we can't really recycle right now. We can, but then we're going to be giving away all of these water bottles to over 1,000 people. Yeah. Is there a way that we could have, like at big events, to show that the city cares about that? Or maybe
could we have trash cans when, like your event, First Friday, have a separate for a bin that says nothing but cans, nothing but water bottles?
Have you guys ever looked at some of those, like in maybe I don't know if downtown might be a good place to start because it's so walkable and everything, but cans that have...
Well, we had an old trailer that we started the drop program with, and that's kind of the way it was set up. It had separate bins.
But we did that one time. I don't know if it was for the 4th of July block party, where the cans had a sign on them saying plastic, another one had aluminum, and the other one just was trash for wet trash. And I'm sure it was just a sign that was printed up and put on the can.
Right. See, a couple years ago we went out and purchased 60-gallon containers, blue containers for some of the parade events when we had our Christmas lighting. And then what we noticed at that particular time, because Commission Member Longoria was still here, when we brought that stuff back,
contaminated?
It was so contaminated.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that makes sense.
That is a problem. People just
You almost need somebody for events to supervise that area and to be educating, as people are kind of, like an outreach kind of, I don't know if that could be a Clean City Commission kind of a thing.
It comes kind of the bottom line is if there isn't a market for recyclables right now, what do we do with the stuff? We can't store
That's
it.
true, too.
It'd be outrageous. So I think we, like the recommendations here, it's kind of conclude and until something happens and we can get rid of our recycles. Even if we're not making, we can break even on it would be nice. But,
Yeah, I think that rate study will go a long way towards helping us decide where we go in the future.
I also noticed like some of the containers just need a little updating on the signage and stuff on the drop boxes where it's a little confusing. Maybe a new sign got put on top of an old sign or something. And when we were at the bashes doing the cleanup thing, I just looked at some of the signage and thought, this is a little bit confusing. Like this could kind of be polished up a little, and maybe just saying that trying to make the drop program more efficient and having the education part of it where, reduce, reuse, recycle. I mean, I don't know, sounds like a good...
have you looked at the containers that say flattened cardboard boxes?
They're not flat.
I know.
They're not flat.
Well, I guess that'll be another side benefit out of the rate study is that, these people that are doing that, they've seen sanitation operations all over the country. And, I'm hoping that we can pick their brain on some ways to improve our efficiencies enough to where we can try to minimize any potential rate increases. But I'm hoping that we can get some good information out of them.
If we were to look at raising fees, is there a number that you have kind of as what we would have to raise them to at this point, or would it be a gradual thing? Or?
Well, I think that's the way it's set up in the water rate study is they'll give you a rate schedule for 10 years. Maybe it's a dramatic increase in the beginning, and then maybe it's smaller increases every other year just to keep in. Again, that can't be approved by a single action of council. Those rates would have to be set every year. But I'm kind of hoping that we get the same kind of recommendation from this consultant.
I really hate to see it.
Sounds like...
I do too.
But, if it's costing you an arm and a leg.
It costs more to dispose of your trash than you have to pay more. I mean, that's just the reality of people think that their waste just goes away, and I mean, really that people have to pay for their waste. Maybe they'll be better at recycling.
I was just kidding.
Maybe.
The rates,
That could be the same, too.
the rates go up. Commissioner Hollis's job
more
gets
place.
huge out there.
Do you know that? Gosh, how do I want to say this? You have so many trucks. What's the average year? How old is the average truck?
We had talked about putting that slide in and we didn't. Why don't you come up and address that one? 'Cause you know that better.
I've got many trucks that are between the ages of, Donna can jump in because she knows this number real well, but between 10 and 15 years, that seems to be the average. The last few years, we've gotten a couple. Most recently, we had that fire 2.5, 3 years ago.
Right.
We lost 3 of them, and with what we received in insurance, we were only able to recapture 1 of them back. So, but I know that question came up with council, and the average life in rotation is between 8 and 10 years. I still got trucks that are 15 to 20 years old.
Oh, my gosh.
But again, we hang on to them because, there's so many electronics and components and hydraulics and limit switches. And you got one goes down, and us being a rural city, by the time you get it back, that's why we hang on to some of those old beauties, is because we can still go out. To this day, we've never had to call 1,200 residents and say, hey, your driver, his truck is down, we'll pick you up tomorrow. We've still been able to do it. They've been long days, and, we've waited till the route was done. We come back grabbing that same truck and go back out again. But But like Rob said, they're between $250,000 and $300,000 each. So,
And the average is like 12 years old?
yeah, you could guess.
They take a beating.
So, going forward, if you have any more thoughts or suggestions before the next meeting, just shoot us an email and let us know.
What?
If you have any thoughts or suggestions before the next meeting, just shoot us an email and let us know. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to have this on the agenda next time, because I do need to talk to my boss and see what his plan is for the schedule to take this back to council. But
I don't have any answer to this at all.
I think one thing with the pilot program, we're fortunate to have a few prisoners to do that, so it's not costing us a normal pay scale to have workers to do that. So if you didn't have that, then say they have a right at prison, you don't get prisoner for 3 months or 6 months or whatever, then what? And if you're doing that curbside stuff, then it's even worse than the drop thing, because the drop thing is much more manageable. And if you had to figure in even minimum wage to keep up with that, it would be like, wee.
no,
So,
and that's a major consideration, because that has happened to us where we haven't had inmates for 4 months at a time, and it affects daily operations just on the solid waste side, let alone on the recycling programs. That's good. All right. Well, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, Clean City Commission calendar. Set Clean City Commission calendar for the remainder of 2018.
So this is something we had talked about at the council commission workshop that was held. And Rich kind of did this before with this little budget sheet and tentative event calendar. But I guess I was hoping to maybe expand it, and we put in all the routine projects, events throughout the course of the year. And then if we were, if the commission was interested in any other research type projects, that we could go ahead and put them on a calendar. It's just tough for us if at the end of the commission meeting, you ask for 3 or 4 research projects from us for the next meeting. That kind of puts us in a bind, because basically it's us 3.
Okay.
And whatever help we can still get out of Rich, and he has been helpful. But so, I don't know. There were a few items that were discussed at the council workshop. I don't know if we want to try to do this tonight, or if you want to, you can fill in and just email in to me, or again, you're all welcome to stop by at any time. So if you want to take a little time and say, I'd like to talk about this, that, or the other thing, and we can put it on a calendar and try to space them out so that we got time. So what I don't want is us to rush something and bring it to you before it's ready. It's not going to be useful information for you. I want to be able to have the time to give you something useful that you can use. So
Now, the September Adopt a Highway and a Day of Caring could be basically the same thing, because we'll be cleaning our section, so we just make that our day for Adopt a Highway and a Day of Caring, which would be the 8th of September.
Was that, okay, that the Day of Caring?
Yeah.
9/8?
Yeah. And being that we won't have a meeting until after the fair, we'd probably we need to start really thinking right now what we're going to need for the fair, as far as what we're going to buy for giveaways and now.
No, that's an agenda item for later
That's
tonight.
an agenda item, so I was going to get that on the calendar. If we can do that when we do that item C here. So then after September, when would be our next, we would have one more highway cleanup before the end of the year? Or would we? Would we have one in December?
He didn't show one from last year. He showed them.
I don't remember us having one after.
Yeah, he showed one in April and one in September.
Okay. Okay, so we don't have to do that anymore.
We only did 2 last year.
Pardon me?
We only did 2 last year.
I thought we did 3. I thought we did 2, and then the day of carrying was the other one. But I'd have to look back in my.
It could be. I mean, you could have done your Adopt a Highway on a different day in September. I don't know if you did. Or
Was the one that we just recently did, was that one of those, considered one of those days, or is that something that we do regularly to keep up that lot?
We do that, I thought 3 times a year.
So that's just 3 times a year?
And we did that last, what month was it? April we did that?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it was April we did it the last time. So,
Adopt that April the 7th.
Okay.
It's right there.
There, thank you. So yeah, we did one in September the 9th, and that was Adopt a Highway Day of Caring. And we did April 7th.
And May the 12th.
And May the 12th.
Does it seem like that's enough to keep that? Is it posted anywhere that this is the block that we adopted? Is it enough to keep it? I mean, is that something that probably to maintain it needs to be done all the time with the recycling there and the being right off the 66?
Yeah, I think that lot and the lot across on the north side of Airway across from Walmart are the worst 2.
And there's been somebody else, another group out there cleaning that up from time to time. You go by and all of a sudden it's clean. And
who cleans?
I don't know who it is though.
Well, ADOT will get betterment crews occasionally, but they pretty much stay in there right away. They're not getting onto.
I think the railroad is doing it.
I don't know. I have no idea. I could only speculate.
So so those are the events that we have, and then we have our Arbor Day one on a regular. That's each year. We have the fair each year. We do our bag cleanups, but is that or handing out? Is that something that's planned, or we just kind of come up with that?
I don't think those have been scheduled before. I think you just kind of saw when people were available. Which reminds me, I had an email from somebody else that wanted to assist with that program, and I forgot to put that in the packet.
Bag distribution, it's kind of...
Might be Kayla Crow from the MCC. Does that sound familiar?
It
From the
may be.
MCC student site.
I only see 2 adopted.
Maybe. I'll have to go back and look.
But you see the community cleanup Mojave County Fair.
That was the fairgrounds that we did.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
And we don't do that anymore.
No, we don't do that anymore.
Oh.
So we only had 2
We only had
highway
2.
days last year. So
We ought to pick up more.
yeah.
Is that something we could think about and come back and...
Yeah,
I think I
all of
want to
this is.
sit down with you sometime because I don't want to take up too much time. So I have little homework things, and I would like to sit down with you and see when it's a good time for you, if that's okay. But I would like if we maybe try to affiliate some of these days with the events that Keep America Beautiful and Keep Arizona Beautiful does. And just to give you an idea, and I can let you know the dates at that time, it's the Great American Cleanup. And that one's already passed, so this would be for next year, but maybe it would be on our calendar. There's the America Recycles Day, which is November 15th.
I think that one is on the calendar.
Yeah.
Is that one?
Yeah.
And leading up to that, they do something called a Recycle Bowl, and that's activities like with the schools. So I don't know if that's something we want to incorporate into our community outreach, but it could be discussed.
I'm sorry, activities with the what?
With the students at the elementary schools and the high schools and middle schools, and they have a lot of the educational material that's a resource that's available.
Well, just for your information, I mean, Eddie and Bud, his crew leader, do quite a bit of that now during school
Yeah.
years.
So that may not be a necessary thing, but maybe something to look into. And that's all I have.
So I would like to just kind of keep this handy so that, you know, when we do start talking about, you know, we'd like information on this program or whatever, we can go ahead and slot it into the calendar and say, give us enough time to bring a quality product back to you rather than...
So all we have is the Recycle Poster Day. After the fair would be the Recycle Poster Day essay, and that's at the Clean City Commission meeting November 16th. That's the 16th. Actually, Thursday is the 15th.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm going to cross this out and make that the 15th.
No, that was last year.
Well, that's right, that was last year. So this time it would be November 15th.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
There was one more thing. I was asked if, and I don't know if this is even something that we would be able to do officially or maybe just individually as volunteers, but this city, I just talked to Gary Kellogg and he says that they plan to continue to keep First Fridays going. And we really need volunteers to help with, you know, just cleaning up after. I've been going around and just walking the whole block and picking up whatever I can and taking bags and taking the overflow off the top of trash cans because people pile up when they're full. So just bagging them and putting them in the dumpsters, like, in the back, and I don't know if that's okay. But I figure it's better than blowing all over the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Is that something that we could maybe possibly take on and wear our Clean City Commission shirts and show that?
I don't know, but we're kind of off subject here.
Well, we could put it on the calendar if it's something that we would take on, was my point of it.
But you're only on in between 4th and 5th, right?
It's kind of changes. This month it's on Grandview and First, I think. So it's a block.
So you wanted to put the first Friday of every month on the calendar for us then? Or
If you guys are open to it, I just wanted to see if that was something that maybe Clean City Commission might want to take on.
I don't care. As long as we know where we have to be.
So Locomotive Park
Yep, Locomotive Park down to 5th Street.
down to First.
Oh.
So just Locomotive Park, that
thank
block
you.
on Beale Street.
Thank you.
You know, it's not a big...
But there's not that many trash cans on there around Grandview and First.
They did bring in more last time.
We'll be bringing in more for First Friday.
Oh, okay.
We're actually going to have that's later on in the agenda. We'll talk about that too.
Why am I doing it?
So, I'm lost as to what we're doing right
I think let's talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let's put it on the agenda for next meeting then. First Friday cleanups.
Yeah,
that okay?
it'll be after this event, but yeah.
Well, that's true.
Well, and we've got a topic here for our coming up later on in the new business, I believe, that we could talk about. So.
Yeah.
Anything else on the calendar that anybody wants to talk about? Sorry? If not, we move on to the Mojave County Fair.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we did get the booth. it's a single booth. They were sold out. They had held that booth for you, but there were no other booths available. So we got a single booth indoors.
So it's a 10 by 10 booth that we have again. That's all right.
And we're kind of on the interior. I think we're between the police department and the community college. I didn't get a copy of the diagram. I didn't get a map of where the booth was. But, so yeah, that reservation has been made. I guess what we need to talk about tonight would be what you want us to get for it. And I didn't write it down, which I should have, but you still got a fairly healthy balance in your budget. So I don't know what kind of materials. I'll check with Rich and see what he's got on hand.
I said, Rich has got a whole bunch of catalogs for stuff that we bought. I didn't know if he'd already given that stuff to you or not.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to talk to Rich this week. So
Plus last year he gave us what we had gotten the year before.
We kind of used the same thing with just the amounts that we decided on.
Right.
Yeah.
We juggled them.
Yeah. And there, we could go through the catalogs and see if there is anything that we can afford that we could get that would be something people would enjoy. I haven't talked to any of the other commissions to see if they would like to get involved, because I was sort of waiting to see whether we were really going to be able to get a 20-foot booth or back to the 10 by 10. So that was sort of, if they want to bring in printed material, no problem. Set that up. Fast. Now, Councilmember Yoakum, he spent a lot of time down there last year. He would be there in the morning setting up the projector.
Right.
And he would be there in the evening to take the projector home so we would still have it the next day. So we really need somebody to commit to doing that knows how to handle that PowerPoint projector.
well, I'm comfortable committing Eddie and Donna to being there full time.
What did you say, Rob? I didn't hear.
So I was comfortable committing Eddie and Donna to be there full time.
I signed up the volunteers last year, but we had like 2 weeks to collect volunteers, so I would be willing to start collecting volunteers now, and also reaching out to some of the commissions for volunteers and seeing if they want to contribute.
And being election year, we might be able to get some more of the council people to come in and it's a good platform for them. Talk to people.
So
we could set a calendar for that kind of who's going to be at the booth at what times, and then we
Just the shifts, and I'll do more this time because I know we just were kind of short on volunteers, so we were stretched a little thin last year. So
Don't be the only thing is Saturday.
So if I could, I kind of got a question on how did you go about picking out what kind of merchandise you wanted to buy and give away?
Rich had a catalog from some company with all kinds of things that are related to recycling, and so we went through and we picked out things that were made from recycled products, and we had little tattoos, stick-on tattoos and stickers and
Seed packets.
he had
packets.
Coloring book.
Eddie donated coloring books, and we got some little packets of color crayons, and we gave those away. Friday morning, I think it is a Thursday morning. The schools bring the whole classes of children through first thing in the morning, and we're giving out pre-packed these goodie bags with some of the stuff, and we give out 20, 30 at a time. As they came through, and we'd go through 90% of our slides, maybe 80% of our stuff just on Thursday morning. So,
Well, I guess with that being said, what I can do is I can get with Rich, get the catalog, and also get the list of what all you got last year, and I can put that on the agenda for next month.
We got together and sat down and sort of went through the catalog and figured what we could afford, and we sort of went overboard, and Eddie picked up the tab on part of it because we went kind of over budget a little bit, so they had some money in a slush fund, and that took care of that. So I don't know how that's going to stand this year, or whether that's still available or not.
Well, seeing as we just talked about sanitation rates, let's not use the term slush fund.
That's why this came first, right?
You brought us on this fault.
We have to get the toys for the kids.
So will that give us enough time if I get the list and the catalog and put it on the next month's meeting?
Yeah, we've got time because I think last year we were right at the end and we were able to get
ordered
in.
it like in August, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, it was the middle of August, and fortunately they had a quick turnaround on it, so so we got it and we'll check with Josh Noble and see what he wants to donate. He always gives a whole bunch of stuff
And Parks and Recs.
for Parks and Recs.
I'll take care of Parks and Recs.
Okay, you want to take care of that?
Yeah.
Good. I will do the tourism then, and
I'll sign up the volunteers.
and we can talk to the transportation and see if they want to put a little something there, like they did one year. They had a Siri put together a big poster kind of thing that gave a lot of information on our local transit system, and that was we're kind of strapped for space, but we can put a lot of stuff in there nonetheless. So.
Would we be interested in putting anything out from Erase? They have like litter bags and educational pamphlets and stuff like that on the littering and stuff for the county and who to contact and stuff like that.
Was that the one? Did we stuff every bag with something for mom and dad to read? Or was that a different program that we did? At any rate,
We had the coloring books, the seed, tattoos, stickers, in a bag. And then was Gordon that did the thing on recycling?
That was a Portia Feller. She was a high school student, and she did a PowerPoint presentation on recycling. So this we kind of used as an educational opportunity to outreach, and maybe we could do something like your campaign, just one, or just to have that little education part in there.
We can get whatever we want from Erase if you want to have that in the booth to give out, so I can get a hold of Todd and get whatever they have.
so now you're busy on Saturdays, right?
Most Saturdays. This month I was free on Saturdays because they were off doing touring stuff, so I didn't have anything to do on Saturdays. But I'm sure by the time we've got something to do, they'll have auctions. So it's like,
Well, we got
for the fair, I will be at the fair
Thursday, Friday,
for
and
the
Sunday.
fair.
So
Yeah.
we could plug you in on one of those days
I'll
to work a few hours.
I'll make myself available on the
And,
fair days.
We check with the fair people, and they give us parking passes, so everybody can park free. And then what we did in the past, if they were short on vendor badges, we would arrange to. Next person was coming in, we'd meet them at the gate, give them our vendor badge, and they'd come in and we'd leave. So it worked out.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a good start. I'll pull together that list and the catalog and follow up next month. It's all right?
Okay? Come on. All right. Anything else on the fair that we need to?
Let me go back. You want me to contact Sherry or transport? I don't even know where to go.
I don't know that she's even in that commission anymore, to be honest with you.
So I can go to transit department, right?
It's a transit authority or something or other.
Well, Siri's still on the
She is?
art tag.
Then talk with Siri.
Yeah, and she did express that she'd be interested in.
I'll take care of Parks and Rec and transit.
Okay. Okay. And along with as long as I'm talking to tourism, I will talk with Kellogg, see if he wants to come down and put something up for our economic development. So everybody wants to know what's going on out at the airport, that's for sure. So have him there to answer questions, dispel rumors, whatnot. So, okay. Anything else? Okay, then we can move on to new business. Item A, Recycling Subcommittee. Discussion on possible action regarding the formation of a Recycling Research Subcommittee.
I don't understand it.
Pardon me?
Rob just gave his presentation. He kind of said that we recommend that we stop it. What's the subcommittee going to do?
I said this.
Sarah, you weren't here.
I'm sorry.
So, no, that's okay.
I apologize.
So, we're not stopping recycling. We are stopping the potentially, the pilot program. I still think that a recycling subcommittee, is there a certain amount of members that needs to be on a subcommittee to make it a subcommittee?
You couldn't have more than 3 members on a subcommittee. Donna, jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on any of these.
Subcommittees are basically treated the same way as any other legal body. So if you have 3 people, or even I believe 2 people.
Yeah, I think you could do a 2-person.
You have to have agendas, you have to have minutes, you have to have, it would be the same as having a meeting like this.
And I talked to the city clerk, and if you'll indulge me, I'll just read her response.
Yes, please.
So, she says, public body is defined as the legislature, all boards and commissions of this state or political subdivisions, all multi-member governing bodies of departments, agencies, institutions, and instrumentalities, that's a cool word, of the state or political subdivisions, including, without limitation, all corporations and other instrumentalities whose boards of directors are appointed or elected by the state or political subdivisions. Political body includes all quasi-judicial bodies and all standing special or advisory committees or subcommittees of or appointed by the public body. Public body includes all commissions and other public entities established by the Arizona Constitution or by way of ballot initiative, including the Independent Redistricting Commission, and this article applies except and only to the extent that specific constitutional provisions supersede this article. This broad definition includes planning and zoning commissions, boards, adjustments, state licensing boards, library boards, and school boards. It also includes advisory committees and subcommittees created by action of the mayor and council, even if no member of the original appointing public body is a member of that advisory group. So I guess what that means is a meeting of a subcommittee would have to meet all the requirements that this meeting has to meet. You have to be posted as a public meeting. Someone would have to take minutes. Those minutes would have to be prepared and posted. So everything that we have to do every month for this meeting, everything that we do every 2 weeks for the council meeting would apply to that subcommittee.
Your staff would have to be at the recycling subcommittee?
Someone would have to take minutes. I don't have a definitive answer on whether that could be a subcommittee member or whether that would have to be staff.
We had a subcommittee. Gosh, what was it?
It was for the recycling before they started the pilot program.
Right. I took the minutes for that. So, an agenda was done.
Yeah.
Everything. So.
And I think Joe Longoria kind of took that
Right.
on. My thought for this was that this could be, I know it's called recycling, but maybe this could be, and I don't know yet if it's best for this to be something that the city takes on or if it's something that, a grassroots group wants to take on, but to be kind of do some of the legwork to help you guys out a little in the recycling and research and going to, you know, different recycling facilities and, you know, even to better our drop program, you know. But also maybe some more of how we can become more involved with the community outreach, maybe how we can become more affiliated with the Keep Arizona Beautiful, you know, that's kind of my idea. Would it be better for us to just meet at Calico's and have an informal, as long as we don't have a quorum? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to the subcommittee. It's just that if we're going to do it, we need to do it right, and we need to follow all the rules.
Yeah.
A lot of this.
And if just like an individual commissioner took on the project to research recycling and then brought it back and reported on it at the next the King City Commission meeting, it wouldn't be really a subcommittee then, I wouldn't think, and you wouldn't have to, and if two people did it, just don't talk to each other.
But you can talk to two people, right, as long as it's not a quorum?
Well,
You're talking about a commission, that's correct.
Well, the idea is that if you're talking commission business, it should happen here at a public meeting that's been agendized and posted, and the public has notice that you're going to be discussing that item. I didn't, and I should have asked about, you know, two commission members kind of informally doing something like that, you know, like when you guys went down to Sedona.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an issue or not. I guess that's something I'll have to clarify.
And we could come back and discuss keep this kind of going, but I
mean, I'm not opposed to it. I just, you know, if we're going to do it, I want to make sure we're doing it right.
What do you think?
From what I've started on, and I missed the training that you had on that, but from what I could understand, after reading through the material that was presented, it was like as long as you didn't have a quorum and we were just discussing recycling, and it was you and I, or maybe even one other person, as long as we didn't have a quorum, we could do that. It was being four of us being in the same place at the same time and discussing that. Then you'd definitely be in violation.
So I think what the intent of it is that, let's say you're talking about something people find important. Mm-hmm. And I think the intent is that if the public comes to a meeting that's been noticed, agendized, posted, they have the expectation that discussion's taking place mm-hmm. in front of their view. You know, it's in the public realm. Not that maybe two or three commissioners have gotten together beforehand and kind of decided how they were going to, and never four, you know, but, you know, kind of have come to some conclusions or made some decision that is outside the public realm.
Yeah. Just sharing information, that's, from what I could understand, that's not a problem. If we decided we were going to go a certain way on a subject and then come here and do that would, again, definitely you would be in the wrong.
So I want to explain kind of my reasoning that this feels important to me, because when we had that staff meeting and these were the goals that the city wanted us to do, I just don't feel that meeting once a month we're really going to be able to really meet some of these things. So some of the things that they said was, you know, better education and outreach, reuse, reduce, recycle, you know, and maybe some sort of campaign. Wade is working on a campaign that I think could be a really neat thing to do on social media to start bringing more awareness, and maybe sustainability master's program or something like that, where we incorporate reduce, reuse, recycle, that we can put together, get some of the materials from Keep Arizona Beautiful that are free and available to us. Another one was to become more in alignment with Keep Arizona Beautiful. So these are things that they said that they would like us to do. And so I feel like if we could work on these things a little and then come back to the meeting and give updates and reports and things like that where we're actually like working on stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything to prohibit an individual commissioner from doing research. I think, I might rather prefer that, that was shared with us as a staff first, and we talked about when it should come back to the commission. So like I say, I don't want to waste your time with incomplete information so I think we need to decide if it's fully fleshed out and ready to come to the commission. The two people doing it together, that's what I should have clarified that I didn't. So I will do that.
Okay. So then I think I'm good on that.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
And moving on to item B, and this is kind of the same sort of a thing. I brought this, I put this on the agenda, sort of taken a lead from Commissioner Collis's, what he's been doing out in Golden Valley and in the county. What I was trying to do is see if there was any way we could kind of do that here in the city, even though we don't have a lot of public land or open land. There are places where it's like a city property that's starting to get overrun with weeds and whatnot. However, this morning, as I was going out, the PW had a crew on Eastern, and they were cleaning stuff away. And I thought, whoa, good deal. But they were cleaning the tumbleweeds and everything. But
those guys are working hard.
That's a lot of streets for them to do. So what I was thinking is, if some of us got together, just like our Adopt a Highway days, and if there was a lot in town that the weeds were getting up on and it was starting to look a little bad, to get out there with a weed eater and knock them down and have. We've got this group now of work furlough people. People are working off their fines, and I was sort of thinking maybe utilizing them with the bags to bag the stuff. We could rake it and bag it, and I don't know whether we could do it just like Adopt a Highway and have the sanitation pick it up or not, if that would work.
On your Adopt a Highway, ADOT actually.
Oh, ADOT picks that up. Okay.
But generally, its guys pick up anything that is bagged for other cleanups.
It was, as I say, I hadn't even thought it through very far, and the subcommittee thing. All of a sudden dawned on me that maybe that would fall under those restrictions. So I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts on it? It was just something I threw with Eddie.
Yeah, I just remember this kind of topic came up years ago, but I think something you all have to remember is that, being a commission, won't be able to go on private people's properties. That was a big thing that always got, kind of just flattened it out. But depending on how you go about it, if you get a widowed lady that doesn't have funding or something like that, I think
it's sort of like what our paint-a-thon was.
Just to pick someplace to go and do it.
Yeah.
I think that would be it.
Well, there's plenty of public spaces like the parks and the walking path that goes all through Kingman and like sidewalks downtown.
I've watched the weeds on the road going down to the baseball fields. They start encroaching onto the road a little bit, and just a hedge clippers would take care of that. So it was a thought, and I don't know whether we can maybe pursue this again after we kind of think about it a little bit, or just what we would like to do.
Why don't we put it on the agenda next time? So you're going to find out if two members.
Yeah, I can clarify that, and we can hold both these items over if you want to.
Well, we can table it, and I have no problem with that. And
I like it. I want to be on that subcommittee.
okay.
On that thing, I've been trying to figure out how to do something and get the citizens involved, because this is their city.
Yeah.
It's not Sanitation City and the Public Works City and the Kingman City. It's their city and everybody's city.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knows what I do out there in Golden Valley, but we've talked about my campaign there, and that's just one. If every household went out and picked up 1 pound of trash per week, and I'm talking about just Golden Valley as an example, it would be way more than what my group has did all year long as a group. 1 pound. I started, the wife got me out there walking for an hour every morning. So after about 3 days of that, I grab a kitchen trash bag and take with me, and I come back with a trash bag just walking around our community. Well, then one wasn't enough, so I started taking 2 with me, dropping one off and then having to go back and get it. And it's really made a difference, and I've been doing that for a little over a week now, but it's really made a difference, and I've cleaned up like 52 pounds or something like that, but that's like 8 trash bags.
Yeah.
So how you that's the part I haven't come up with, how to motivate the people that living in a community to take a day, whether it be, okay, this Wallet Ranch or whatever, on this date we're going to go out and we're going to walk around the community and we're going to pick up the trash that's out there wherever it's at. Obviously you're not going to go to somebody's house and pick up the trash that's laying up against there, but if it's on the road and in the right-of-way of the road, which you're fortunate here because I think most of the roads have right-of-ways here, where in the county, a lot of the roads, there's no right-of-way, so it's, you got basically a path cut out in the middle of the desert, but there's really no right-of-way, so the county, I guess that's why we have so much trash out there, because they couldn't really do anything because they didn't have no right-of-way. Yeah. So, but in the city, I think that's not the problem. The problem is getting the people interested enough to grab that trash bag and go out there and pick up the trash. It don't have to be, you don't have to clean up, I don't clean up, a whole section when I go out there. I clean up what I can get to because I still want to walk a certain distance. So I go this different routes all the time, so eventually I get around there and pick up some more, and eventually widens it out for away from the road, to the right-of-way and stuff on the roads that have a right-of-way. So, it's not that you have to do everything, complete everything at once, but if you work at it a little bit each time, that's what I'm having trouble trying to figure out what will actually work. It's easy. I can tell myself just go out and pick up trash. That's pretty easy. But to get other people involved in their own community. I walk out there and people've got in their yard more than I've picked up all week out there just in their yard, and it's like, come on.
Well, if you want, we can bring both of these items back next week.
I'm sorry?
If you want, we can bring both of these items back next month after I get clarification on the...
I think we can maybe table this and give it some more thought between now and next month, and maybe come up with something that is workable. We wouldn't need to have it picked up. We could haul it out just like you do. Haul it out.
I could bring my trailer and I don't care. Picking it up and hauling away is not a problem.
Okay. Anything else? If there's nothing else, we'll move along then to Item C, Public Works Day in connection with the arch dedication. The discussion and possible action regarding the CCC participating in Public Works Day in conjunction with the arch dedication and First Friday.
So we had originally planned a Public Works Day event where we were going to bring a few hundred kids out to our facility, show them our equipment, what we do some demonstrations, and unfortunately that was canceled due to the teacher walkout. But so what we decided to do instead is to take over that arch dedication. So that's going to be our Public Works Day event now. It's also the First Friday event for July. It'll be that first Friday in July. And so we're going to have a bunch of our equipment down there. We're going to have information on what we do as Public Works, all the different divisions. And we were wondering if the Clean City Commission wanted to participate at that event and set up your table and hand out your information, and similar to what you do at the fair. It would be one night. I think it starts 4 o'clock.
They asked us to be there for at 3.
Okay. So it'll probably run approximately 3:30 to 9:30,
Okay.
10.
But
we'd be happy to have you join us if you wanted to.
Where would we be located down
We're going to be out in the street on Beale Street between Grandview and First,
Oh, okay.
right there at Locomotive Park.
Alongside Locomotive Park.
Yeah, and there'll be a DJ down there, and there'll be food vendors down there, and like I say, we'll have a lot of our equipment, and at a certain time, they'll light the arch, and I'm guessing that's after dark sometime maybe, but so they'll do the arch lighting and do the dedication ceremony, and the mayor will make a speech, and other dignitaries will make presentations, but we're crashing it, and I'll see if you want to crash it with us.
Something to be under and...
We're working on those details. So
I have an easy up.
Pardon me?
I have an easy up.
Yeah, my Easy Up bought the big one here a while back. The wind caught it. Bent the heck out of it. Now tables.
I have
like
a table.
For the fair, I'd supply tables. I don't know if you need tables for this or not to put stuff on.
I can coordinate that stuff
Okay.
with you.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you again.
Easy up.
I do a little toddler park at First Fridays, just sponsored by my business, and I already committed to that. Otherwise, I would love to do this, but I'll be there, and I can help if anybody needs to go to the bathroom or anything.
This should be, let me mark this on my calendar. On the 6th of July at about 3 in the afternoon then, 3 to 3:30, something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, we'll start setting up earlier than that. But
Okay.
And I can volunteer to help kind of pick up trash after the event and everything.
Okay.
Should we look for somebody to be the mascot?
I think Donna or Eddie would do well on that.
It's
gonna be-
this guy. This is volunteering you for everything.
It's going to be a hot day for that mascot.
Oh yeah,
Commissioner Bowman's been the mascot once, and Commissioner Van Nassau, she's been in the suit. Have you had it on?
yeah. I was at the fair, blowing away.
So, everybody likes to try the thing on.
I could for a little bit.
Might be too hot though.
If there's anything that you think you need us to do, you could give us a holler or email or whatever. And
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, and if it's okay with the commission, I'll just coordinate with the chairman and.
Okay.
I think this should be like a motion second to make your
Okay.
To do what?
This needs to be a motion. This needs to be passed as a motion.
For us to participate. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'll make the motion that we participate in the Public Works Day of
Public Works Day.
Day in conjunction with the arch dedication on July the 6th.
I second.
3:30.
Oh, I second that.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll notify those that weren't here that we're going to be setting up then for on the 6th of July, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you need help with that setup, be more than happy to help.
Thank you.
Okay. Announcements by commission members, limited to announcements, available attendance and conferences and seminars, requests for agenda items for future meetings. Commissioner Hollis.
We had a meeting with the Keep Arizona Beautiful people with the Public Works, and I think it was the first step in helping getting some stuff done and some funding for stuff that may be a slight possibility, but I think now that we've physically got to meet who the Keep Arizona people are, then I think we can have a better working relationship in that, and I'm looking forward to actually getting something accomplished. Again, I don't think we'll be real speedy at it, but I think if we work at it and amongst the city and the county and everybody involved in it, it can be a good working relationship there and help each other out. So, all I have.
Mr. Ferry.
I don't have anything.
Bowman, don't have. And likewise, I can't think of anything. So, or do you want to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
It's been made.
I'll second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good, we're done.
Now we got to figure out how to shut this down.
Okay.
Do we return these things?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
You don't have to.